two things that are important to talk about, and one follows from the other, is God's mercy. What does it mean that God has mercy? God, the game where you pinch someone's fingers and you're like, mercy, that qualifies as a game. Is that God? What is God's mercy? And then if God is merciful, if it means like he's good or lenient or why is there hell? How can you square those two things where you have God who cares about and is merciful, and also there's this thing called hell?
Yeah, so it sort of begs the question, is God's mercy conditional? Like some people get it, some people don't, or if you say a special prayer, or if you're a favorite of some kind, or something. But that doesn't really make sense.
Well, I need definition of terms right now, because I feel like it can get the religious sounding. God's mercy, I don't even know what that means. When you say it, it's just a term that goes right through my brain like it was like chicken wire. What is mercy? What do you think God's mercy means?
I know Swedenborg's got some great definitions that I'm not remembering right now, but they, to me, it's a particular quality of the divine love, in relation to our distress. It's related to the word misery, which is interesting. So it's sort of like God's attitude to our misery.
There you go. God's attitude toward our, I love that. Man, because when you hear mercy, usually it's like means stop hurting. Like the game do you know that game? Is that a game people play?
Yeah.
It's like you each can like pinch each other's hands. I forget even the motion. And the first person who says, Stuart's got it.
Like curl the other person's wrist back.
You curl their wrist back.
Right.
And the way you win is like, if it starts to hurt too much, you say mercy, and then you lose. So usually mercy, or if somebody's like, have mercy, I'm sure a million movies that have mercy, it's like, I'm asking the person who is hurting, doing the damage, to stop. Or like, please, Mr. Scrooge, have mercy, not on Christmas Day.
Right. So I can't take it anymore.
So isn't that like the way that most people use that word? So it's a very strange thing. If you talk about God's mercy, that puts in your chicken wire brain that God's the one causing the problem, and so that his mercy is him like, all right, I'll go easy on you.
That's probably enough.
You're right. I should like just have a heart. Remember, you're right. I guess which is, so we are having to say there's not that. There's not that.
Right.
We are talking about something. So this show, if you're not familiar, we're going through the theology of Swedenborg, and there's a term that's mercy, but what we mean by it and what it actually is when God's mercy is talked about is not, well, okay, I'll ease up on you. All right, you deserve this, but I'm not going to do it. That it is, what did you say it was?
Well, God's attitude toward our misery.
I knew it, but I just I don't want to steal that from you because it's really good. God's attitude toward our misery. That's what mercy is, or attitude toward the distress. It's a particular kind
distress,
of, there's love, but then there's this, and you could see this like when, kid comes home from school and mom is there at the door. If kid is like, happy, there's one kind of embrace. What did you do at school today?
Yeah.
If the kid comes back and she's got tears in her eyes a little bit, mom is like, what's the matter? Like, that's mercy.
Yeah.
There's two different expressions of love.
Yeah, that's right. And the Latin word, there's a couple of different words that are used, but one that's Swedenborg uses a lot is misericordia. The cordia is the word heart. It has heart right in there. So it is like sort of a pain in your heart in response to pain that someone else is going through. So it's very related to compassion. It's sometimes translated compassion.
Okay. So this is how it feels, like how you feel when you see something little and cute getting hurt.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that God has when he observes our suffering. And that's what mercy is.
Right.
So let's talk about hell.
Yes.
Because you would think that again, the way the description is commonly, or not description, but the way the term is commonly used is that hell is a place that's of intentional suffering. It's like a place where you go there, torment. Yeah. You go there to be unhappy, to be suffering. And that doesn't seem very merciful. It doesn't seem, in any sense of the word. So how is it possible for a God who has this feeling when you're in distress? Does he only have it to some people? How could you ever square? Is the answer that there's just not hell? So I think here we're saying that there is hell.
Yeah.
But doesn't contradict that God is merciful.
Yeah.
So how are we gonna talk? People are expecting, like, they're gonna do some mental gymnastics. They're gonna try to shrink out of it and apologetics it, you know. But what are we gonna do that? What are we gonna do?
I think we'll do exactly that. No, the first question gets into the Bible because the Bible is a source, unfortunately. A misreading of it ends up with a lot of people feeling like, well, God says, I will get vengeance on my enemies. I will punish you. Even some passages say, not just you, but your kids and your kids' kids and their kids, multiple generations of, I will exact revenge on you for this bad thing that you've done.
Mercurial. Is that what that's called? When you just can fly off the handle either direction? God is very mercurial in the Bible. Because just as you were saying that, I'm going to get vengeance on you to this generation and then to that generation. And then also, Jerusalem, how I've longed to gather you under with an everlasting love. I will. It's like it's a little freaky.
A little freaky. And there's even passages where he said, I was mad at you for a little minute, but I love you with an everlasting love.
So it's like,
it is a little crazy.
Who's going to show up today?
Yeah.
That can't be how God actually is, because...
No, right. That's an appearance of some kind, right.
Because look at us describe it here. And we laugh because if there's a person like that, nobody says that they've got it together.
That's good parenting.
That's good. That's good parenting. I love working for that boss.
Yeah.
Nobody says that.
Right.
There's nothing. There's no school of thought anywhere, I don't think, in history that says major mood swings and huge, unpredictable, extreme leaps from one end of the hostility spectrum to the other. Nobody says, like, that's a good sign, or that's how that you're in command of your. That's never good on a job interview, you know.
Oh, terrifying to not know. Oh, today you like me? Do you still like me? Or what if I said, it's terrifying. They'll snap at a minute. It'll suddenly turns ugly. And
there's a meme it's like from some show where it's some actor I recognize, but I forget who it is now. And he's like, I thought you liked me. It's two guys like in the Scottish countryside. And I thought you liked me. And the other guy says, no, I don't. He's like, but you liked me yesterday. And I've seen that applied to a lot of things. My wife shared it with me about like perimenopausal women to their husbands. And their husbands are like, oh, you thought you liked me.
Yeah.
No, but you liked me yesterday. That's how it is.
That's how it is.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is, I'm like, wait, how did we get here to the memes? That the point of what we just said is God like that? Is God something? Are we using mercy in the traditional sense? Like, yikes. Okay, we know you're mad, but please calm down and don't take it out on us.
Yeah.
Because we can't. And you say mercy to somebody when you don't say mercy to somebody who you can just punch or stop.
That's
like,
right.
You say mercy when you're like, I can't do anything to stop you. You're way more powerful than me.
Right.
That's when you play the mercy card.
And I'm hoping you'll just do a little less than the worst that you could do. So
yes.
It's like you're facing a nasty judge who's got low blood sugar and is angry or something, and
it's
you're worried about, just go lightly, like just give me 10 years, not life. Or
it's an appeal, and it's an appeal to like, wait, remember goodness. Like, don't you have something good inside you? It's like trying to wake something up in someone, which makes no sense in the context of an omniscient, omnipotent being who is supposedly completely in control of his faculties and is not like, oh, right, my anger overwhelmed me for a second there. What's anger to overwhelm you? Aren't you the ultimate power in the universe?
It seems so much like the fallacy that we all labor under in some ways, that the sun, the sun doesn't care because it hasn't shown up for 5 days now. It's raining and gray, and or that sort of thing. It's so silly, because when you fly in a plane, you realize those clouds are just like the last 500 feet when you're coming to land.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous above the clouds. It's just beautiful. The sun is always shining. It's never... And the true qualities of God are like the sun, and the Bible likens God to a sun. It's just inexhaustible. It's love and light just radiating out all the time to everything, to everybody. And it's impossible for the sun to say, oh, I'm going to shine on you, little fella, but you not so much. That's not how it...
Yeah.
There are other factors that get in there and interfere with that.
It seems like God is against you or against people, but that's not how it really is.
Yeah.
That's the state of affairs. And even the Bible is written in a way where it seems like this is what Swedenborg saw in his experiences of the deeper layer of Scripture, and what everybody kind of leans to, because we glom on to the love passages much more than the rage. There's not that many fridge magnets that's like, I will punish you to the third and fourth generation.
That's right.
But there's a ton of like, for I know the plans I have for you.
Yeah.
Magnets. So we know something like, wait, there's a reason why these are more valid or more an insight into something true than these other ones. So it seems like it's written according to the appearances, and so it is with hell. That yes, there is something that you could call hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that may seem like that's God not being loving and merciful to everybody, but it is. And that's what we're going to discover here through this description of how the world or how the universe or how reality works, according to Swedenborg. Divinity itself is pure love. This is an important point. The reason why there's any of this distance from God at all, or there's any separation, any confusion, is because God is dangerous. Well, let me have Swedenborg explain that claim. Divinity itself is pure love, and pure love is like a fire hotter than the fire of this world's sun. If divine love in its purity flowed into any angel, spirit, or person on earth, that individual would be utterly destroyed. This is why the Word so often calls Jehovah, the Lord, a devouring fire. So to keep angels in heaven from being hurt by an inflow of heat from the Lord as the sun, they are each shielded by a kind of thin cloud, adapted to the individual, that tempers the heat flowing in from the sun.
It's amazing. First of all, it's a smart design to have like at any point between the sun and the individual, you could have some sort of a barrier. But to keep that barrier until as close to the person is an interesting way to do it, so you don't deprive anybody else. And also, how amazing to say that your cloud is personalized, and what mercy to be so much love that you realize, oh, my love could hurt you, not just hurt, there are passages I translated years ago in True Christianity where, if memory serves, it says your mind would burst like a bubble, just, everything that you are.
Yeah.
It's like people who go out in space where you don't have the shield of the environment, right?
Right.
It can just tear your cells up. They have like 4 layers of shield to just keep it from penetrating their eyes. And so God realizes, I'm a bit much. I can be overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, so this is something that, in order to explain the problem of evil, which this is like a subset of the problem of evil, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Which is like, hey, if God's out there, God is the big one in charge and loves everybody. Like, from where comes all of this challenge? From where comes all this stuff that we don't? That's not great.
Yeah. The misery we were talking about.
The misery.
Yeah.
Okay. So one clue that Swedenborg is positing in his answer to the problem of evil is that their existence is an existence of structure. There's a structure to things. We live in a world, the world we all agree on, is one in which stuff has to happen in the right way. Stuff can go in the right way or it can go in the wrong way. When you're gonna, feed a little baby, they can have a certain amount of food. They can't have too much. Mm-hmm. When you're drinking water,
have the right kind. It can be the choke if it's the wrong kind. Yeah.
You can only eat so much, drink so much. You can't. One time I had a car that was low on coolant or like windshield wiper, one of those things. And so I was like, okay, I'll fix it. So I poured some in, and we got like 4 miles. We were trying to go to Yellowstone, 1,000 miles away. We got like 4 miles out, and the car was broken because I had overfilled it, and so it spilled and broke. So go into anything. There's like, don't fill it, but don't overfill it. Coffee cup, you can't overfill it because then it's all over the counter. So let alone things like electronics you need a surge protector, because even when a power outage comes, even if too much electricity goes through just a little, even though this thing eats electricity for breakfast, electricity going through all the time.
Can't function without it.
If it's too much at once, fried. This is why you've got your body, which is constantly at this, it's pretty hot. It's like at 98 degrees, it's great. But if it goes up to 108, everything's fried. So it's like there's limits. Yeah. And even if you're gonna like, I'm gonna go run a marathon, and you haven't done training and things, then your knees are gonna explode and your toes are gonna fall off, because so everything is like I think these are good metaphors to explain what I'm gonna explain. And that is that we say God is love. Love is so great. That'd be just like saying, God is warmth. Warmth is so great. Well, some of it is.
You can have too much of a good thing.
You made the comparison to the sun, shining on someone versus not, and the clouds part, it was there the whole time. We love this. It makes us feel good when it comes out. You better stay 93 million miles away. Yeah. Because if you came 10 million miles, you came 10 million miles closer. I was like, wait a second, 93, we'd be fried. Yeah. Not because it's bad, it's great. Again, it's the basis for all biological life, except for maybe those hydrothermal vents, but only those come from the gravity of this. It's why we're alive, and yet you can't just go up and snuggle the sun. It's real power. You can't.
Yes.
You can't go up and snuggle.
It's real power.
You got heating oil in your basement that if it weren't for that, it would your house would freeze. You're warmed every day by it. However, you got to make sure that there's no leaks in that tank, and you can't put a match in that tank. Like, things can be good and also have to stay within their structure, or else they're dangerous. That's the way of everything.
Yeah. So you need two things really there, don't you? You need raw power. You have to have it. There has to be power, and then there has to be some sort of damping mechanism to get that down to the point where it'll be effective and not blow a hole in the wall, So yes, if you ran the line right from the high tension lines that that run through the fields and ran that into your house without stepping down, you'd burn the house down in a second. It's way too much power. But you have to have power.
Yeah.
And everybody complains when the power goes out. That was the worst thing. It's like, oh no, the power went out. But you have to have those two things. You have to have power, and you have to have some ability to knock it all the way down. And this may be a little bit of a tangent to what we're talking about, but it really is at the heart of what Swedenborg's talking about, that Jesus is that transformer. Jesus can take all that power and just reduce it to just a useful amount that you need.
If you believe in Jesus, that means okay, there's some sort of order requirements here. Because why would God need to go through any sort of process to do what he wants?
He's God.
He's God. Like what? So what you're doing? Why go in the Jesus thing? Because you just snap your fingers.
Right.
Now some people have squared that circle by saying, okay, well, the limiting factor or the driver behind that was the anger of God, and that God just can't get over this need for justice, or like you sinned, and so I'm too angry at you, and so the blood sacrifice of Jesus calmed him down enough, so he remains all powerful, but couldn't control his own emotions or didn't want to or something. So that's one explanation. I have a lot of issues with that. I don't see it as, and it leaves a very strange character of God. It leads to this sort of like 3-part God Trinity, where there's really one is having to do something to placate the other. To me, it's not very satisfying.
Seems like God is kind of an idiot in that picture,
Well,
because it's like you created all these people, and then, I didn't realize they were going to do that. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, well, like, that
makes me so mad.
And they just mess up one time, and that's it. Again, a lot of issues, hard pill to swallow. That one. So here's an alternate explanation for why have the Jesus thing in the first place, is that it's this safety dynamic that we're describing here, which is like everything else in the world. You have to have things right in there. The more you peer into the world of biology, the things have to have the electrolytes in just the right balance. Is this a hydrophobic or hydrophilic membrane on the cell? So which way are they? Everything has to be precisely in order, and the order is what allows for life. And if there's not that order, then you have death and destruction. So Jesus is God within order, rescuing the human race in a way that won't destroy it. Because you're talking about a bazillion volts of divine power. And as we're about to find out, the real tension comes from how much we have made ourselves into a condition where we have no tolerance for the presence of the divine. And so that makes it so God has to I can't even come in the room with you because of how much you've rejected the things that I am. Yeah. And so I got to find a way to still take care of you in this room I'm not allowed to go into. That's what let's talk a little more about that. This is from Swedenborg's Heaven and Hell. All perfection increases as we move inward and decreases as we move outward, because more inward things are closer to the Lord and intrinsically purer, while more outward things are more remote from the Lord and intrinsically cruder. Let's pause for a second there, even though there's more to that quote, because that's a strange. Do we believe that? That's an interesting statement, and the clearest example I know of Swedenborg giving for this, what he says is a universal principle, is in fruit. So his definition of perfection, by his definition of perfection, you'd say that the seeds in the fruit are the most perfect thing, and the flesh and then is less perfect, and then the skin is the least perfect. And by that, he would mean that the seeds are the most robust, like they're the least vulnerable to damage. and also that they are the most useful thing, right? So skin and the fruit, like it's fine, but it'll rot away in a few days, and it can nourish you a bit, but
can get bruised. It can, all kinds of things can happen
man,
to it.
Like, well, I don't want to throw this whole box out.
Whereas, don't they have seeds from 4,000 years ago that you can plant and they'll germinate? In all those years,
a good,
all
like,
that
what
heat,
year was this seed?
Moisture, all that. It's like, no, it's still that the core genetic material is still good after tremendous spans of time.
So he would say that's you'd see that principle everywhere, right?
So that's purer and less damageable. That pure level.
So that things inside, generally, as you move within things, there's more perfection there. Okay. Since the inner reaches of angels of the central heaven are opened at the third level, their perfection far surpasses that of angels in the intermediate heaven, whose inner reaches are opened at the second level. By the same token, the perfection of angels of the intermediate heaven surpasses that of angels of the outmost heaven.
And we all have all of these layers. We're a little, we're in the image and likeness of God, and we actually have all those layers in us potentially. I mean, we've got the hardware.
Yeah.
It's just, did you activate it? Did you turn that part on?
Yes, and he will. So, if anyone's not familiar with what in the blue blazes he's talking about,
those blazes are very blue.
I don't know where that came from. I mean, like where that saying came from. So, Swedenborg has a description of heaven that is like the fruit we just described, in that there are different parts of heaven. And you could also liken this to the human form, which he does quite extensively, saying there's an outer layer of heaven, which is in a less perfect form by his definition of perfect, and there's an inner layer, which is more so, and an inmost layer, which is more so, and that heaven is composed of different people, and what puts you in different layers of heaven is how open to God the progressively more inward things in you are.
Yes, and that's a choice. When he talks about the creation story, he talks about people who only go to the second day or the third day or the fourth day, and these are sort of developmental levels. And so we have a choice about, are we comfortable going to this level? Are we comfortable going to that level? And so that's a choice. And the reverse of that is that there's levels of discomfort, so those answer to heavens, and then you have levels there are also levels in hell.
And it's literal. Like he says, the human mind is what also you could call it your spirit, and that's what you're in when you're in the afterlife. Like if somebody has like a near-death experience and they're like, I saw my grandma and she gave me a hug. Like, well, what body are you in? They see their body on the table,
where your body is,
and it's not. And I don't have that problem anymore. That whatever made my body die temporarily, and yet that's your spirit that you're in, which has a structure just like your physical body does.
Yeah.
But you could, if you had a spiritual MRI or like, there's actually changes in the structure of your spirit that reflect these. Like, it's not just like, are you open to God or not? It's like there's literally, like you would see neurons change in someone's brain here as they learn a new thing or something. There, your spirit is changing. So this is why you can't just yoink somebody from the outermost level of heaven and put them into an inner heaven, because their structure is not adapted to that.
Right.
So he describes that here in the next number. Because of this difference, an angel of one heaven cannot gain admission to angels of another heaven. Someone from a lower heaven cannot come up, nor can someone from a higher heaven come down. Anyone who comes up is seized by anxiety. even to the point of pain, and cannot see the people who are there, let alone talk with them. Anyone who comes down from a higher heaven loses his or her wisdom, stammers, and loses confidence. It is different when the Lord raises people from a lower heaven into a higher one so that they can see its splendor, which happens quite often. Then they are prepared in advance and provided with mediating angels who serve as agents of communication.
Yeah, so it's not like that doesn't happen.
No, but even in heaven,
we're set up. You can. This is not going to be a great analogy, but I'm interested how
I'll get out my rating scale here.
So good. Some people are just very, very interested in, let's say, art and literature and the world of the mind, and somebody else could be very, very focused on finances and what's going on with the markets and being a savvy investor. I'm not saying those are mutually exclusive. I'm just trying to pick an analogy, but if you're totally in that world of art, and then you go to a cocktail party, we're in the holidays now, are we not? And you can end up with a whole group of day traders or something, and you don't have a lot to say. I mean, it's not that you don't have any financial life or something. It's just not that terribly important to this fictional person that I'm making up who's got these kind of interests. Whereas if they suddenly find, somebody else comes to the party who's, wants to talk about Proust and, the developments in this sort of literature or something, they light up because this is where I belong. Well, it's kind of like that with what these certain angels are talking about. Some people are just like, I don't, and the day traders may really, really not be interested. Like, why are you even, there's no money to be made off of Proust, what are you even talking about?
Yeah.
They kind of don't get it. And so the Lord is God over all these different worlds. And it's so shocking to think that these angels don't even, you're an angel, you're in heaven, you made it. And yet to say you still can't, there are the whole raft of angels that you can't talk to because they think and feel in very different ways. It's amazing how much territory there is in the human spirit that you can occupy these different interest levels, and you light up when you're over here, and this is not your middle name. And to somebody else, that's where they live, that's what they love.
10 to 10. Great metaphor.
Thank you.
So it could seem to our dear viewers that, we're talking about angels dancing on the head of a pin, and it's even sort of a strange heaven. Like that's a little more exclusive than I would want heaven to be. Or wait, you can't, these angels can't visit those angels. Is that
it's a weird pin.
It's a weird angels dancing on the head of a weird pin, except that is the groundwork. If you understand that order even exists there, just like it does through this life, then you can understand why there is hell and why hell is not a punishment, but a mercy.
Yes.
From God.
But just trying to draw an analogy of where if what you're into is something that doesn't fit this whole thing, you really need to have a different place where there are people who are into that same thing that you're into. And in effect, I'm not doing a great job here, but hell is kind of the Lord saying, okay, you're into that. I'll set up some parameters. We can't just, anything goes, but yes, you can have what you love.
I was going to say, when you gave your analogy, I was going to say, what if someone walks up to you and they're like, what do you think about the Eagles draft picks this year? And you're like, did they get a touchdown? Did they have a quarterback?
So that's a team. So this is basketball?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. So there's an order and a structure in the way, even inside heaven, there's just the way things are. And you're talking about very complex things. So it's like human beings, and the spirit is even more complex than the body. So you've got to have the environment's got to be just right. Even it's not the angels, even angels, God's not just like, all right, you're all good, everything's good. It's still, you're working within order because that's the structure by which humanity exists. So then if you look down that chain toward not just like the difference between an angel who's all the way open to God or all the way more open to God, very deep level, versus an angel who is sort of open. What if you've like shut yourself off, like you don't like that stuff at all? How do you feel when you are in heaven? How dangerous it is for angels to be observed by the divine with no cloud to shield them can be clearly seen from this. By the way, before we read it, he's talking about angels. So it's not a separate, angels. Like God looks lovingly on his good children and can just, like, here I am, there's nothing in between me and you. And then his like disappointing evil children, he's like, well, I have to put up a little. Even angels, it is dangerous for angels to be right directly, even just looked at by the divine without some, whatever that means when you're talking about an infinite being.
Yeah.
But you might say that sounds weird. That has to be the case if God exists and you have this world where you don't even know if he exists. Because don't you want to like, hey, so we're doing this podcast. What do you think about that, God? He's right there. You can see him. Viewers can see him. And he said, where is he? It has to be that there is something making it harder for us to have direct observation and communication and communion with God. Otherwise, I think it would be happening, because wouldn't that be what we want? I mean, and what God wants. So even to angels, even to astronauts, you cannot just go right up to the sun. If you go into outer space, even if you love outer space, even if you studied it and you did all the tests and you've been up on the space station 5 times, and you got to have your protection when you're out of the atmosphere, because that's just the power. That's just the power of the sun.
It's making me think of first thing in the morning, especially in the northern hemisphere right now. We're at our darkest part of the year, and when you wake up in the morning and it's still absolutely dark, and then you flick on a light, it can just be such searing pain of like, so much, like, that's so ridiculously bright. That's so painful. And all you can think of, like, if somebody else turned the light on, all you say, have mercy, like, please have mercy. This is so painful.
Yeah.
This amount of light shooting into my eyes. I'm not ready for this. This is awful. And so amazing to think about the mercy of the Lord to damp his own divinity down and put a shield. And okay, I know I want to give you as much as you're ready to take. And we can work on that gradually over time through eternity. But I'm not trying to overwhelm you. I'm not trying to destroy your mind. I love you. I want this to be good for you.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, there's more similarity than different. I mean, this is a heretical thing to say, but heaven and hell have a lot in common. They're places where the Lord arranges for people to be because of his love. And there's people who can stand this much. It's still Swedenborg says it's similar to the 93 million miles that we're away from the sun. It's still, millions and millions of whatever spiritual miles are from God, as God is in God's self. But
right.
But okay, this is a higher heaven. That's the middle heaven. There's the lower heaven. Then over here is hell, and it goes down from there. But they're all kind of way over there. It's hard to describe. I mean, the divine is present everywhere, but it's all an accommodation to what we can handle. And for everybody, Swedenborg says that more than you can bear is painful. We know that. It's like that light first thing in the morning. It's painful to go beyond what you're ready to experience. So I'm not saying heaven and hell aren't opposites, and that what they love isn't diametrically opposite, but there's still a similarity of like what you can stand.
Yeah, because I think you gotta start thinking about God like this. Otherwise, you have to write stories in your head that are worse. So I guess to illustrate by analogy, let's say you were 5 and you had to go to the hospital for some kind of sickness, or maybe you're 4 or 3 or something, and that sickness made your immune system like really, really weak. So weak that if you were to catch any virus, then it would be life-threatening.
Right.
So they had to keep you in like a clean unit. I don't even know if this is really a thing, but just imagine they had to keep you in like a clean unit,
right,
where there's air is purified and everyone who goes in there is wearing protective gear and all that, just for a while till they can build you back up
before they go
and
in.
You don't like it, and you're scared and all that, and your parents are there, your mom and dad are there, but they don't come inside the seal, and you are like, why aren't they here? Why aren't they? I want them to come in.
They don't.
Why? And you feel like
care.
They must not care. They don't want to help me, right? That's the story you could start to write but if you realize, no, this is to protect you, that we're not coming in here.
Yeah.
That's more of, why isn't God here? Like I could use some divine presence in my life. There's a lot of help and just explanations and all that. Why can't you? It's closer to that than the story you would write, which is like God doesn't care, or is not real, or is a sort of a deism type view where he wound the clock and then stepped away. That none of that's true. The
Right.
truth is, hey, I'd love to be in there. But because of the state of things, you got to think of God a little bit like the sun, but sentient and arranged everything. Because like the chose, all right, wow, people get fried if I'm closer, so I've got to be these 93 million miles away. Even with the sun as it is, we have to be careful, and you can't look right at the sun.
No, you can't look.
That's why if you have an eclipse, like if the sun is it's just like the sun is great. Again, it powers every bit of energy we have in all of our cells comes from the sun. It's our best friend. If it wasn't there, but also if there's a solar eclipse, do not look at that thing as soon as it pops up.
Even when it's eclipsed, when it's only 1%, it'll tear your eyes out.
If you're looking up there, the searches for eye pain go away because people start looking at it's not safe. It's not safe to do that. And also, if the sun was dimmer, just be dimmer, sun, then you wouldn't be able to, the plants wouldn't be able to photosynthesize. You wouldn't be able to see like you see.
It's a source of tremendous
energy.
You
have to be careful. It will burn you. The sun will burn you. It will be too hot if you're in certain places. You have to seek shelter. And with your analogy, finally, of it's hurting your eyes in the morning, it'd be something akin to if you had gone off and lived in the cave system for 4 months.
Yeah, imagine.
And your eyes get really adapted to that. That's kind of like where the state the human race is in. Not saying you in particular are causing these problems, but overall the human race is kind of turned away from love and charity and into selfishness and materialism. That's like living in this cave. So you're just not ready to go out into full daylight. You have to be eased into that. Your eye muscles have to re-strengthen, or that's the vibe of the reality, which is of course more complex than you or I know, but that's sort of like the direction of the vibe.
Even if people went into those caves from not liking the sun or not wanting to be near it, I'm trying to extend the analogy.
Yeah.
It's still so much mercy and compassion on the part of the sun to say, wow, you've been in there for months. You haven't even seen a ray of light for so long. A candle is going to blind you. We've got to start with something so just maybe like the phosphorescence of certain substances that glow in the dark, or we got to start very, very gently here, because I feel for you. I know it's going to be tough.
Now we're finally picking up the second half of this sentence.
Great.
Okay. And it goes like this. When angels look at any spirit engaged in evil, the spirit seems to be turned into an almost inanimate object, as I have had the opportunity to see many times. The reason is that an angel's gaze conveys the light and warmth of heaven, and along with these, the truth that leads to faith and the goodness urged by love. When the truth and goodness penetrate, the evil are nearly drained of life. Considering the effect of an angel's gaze, what would the Lord's gaze do? This is why the hells are absolutely remote from heaven, and why hell's inhabitants choose to be remote. Because if they were not, they would suffer dreadful torment. This shows what is meant by the words, "They will say to the mountains and rocks, collapse on us and hide us from the face of the one sitting on the throne."
That's perfect, isn't it? That image of shield me from this, because this is intensely uncomfortable.
So,
and so you can see the again, the compassion and the mercy. It's not that God has his favorites and they're in heaven, and so I treat all of them one way, and then, those are my enemies, and I treat them completely differently. So I'm smiling at you, but I look over here and I'm angry. I'm just instantly angry. It's the same. It's exactly the same love for everybody. A way that Swedenborg explains it, which is really, really helpful to me, is that evil spirits, people who've really devoted their lives to these self-centered things, what you like the most is you like tormenting people. You love taking their joy away, an energy vampire, kind of image. If the antisocial things are the things that light you up the most, and that's what you've devoted your life to, and you absolutely love them, you can't breathe in heaven. It's a horrible environment for you. And he describes over and over again the symptoms that people have in heaven. They're writhing like a snake on a piece of hot iron, and things like that, and like ants by the fire. They're tortured. They feel like they're on the point of death. And when they get back to their own community, then they can breathe. Then they can breathe freely, and they're with people who see things the way that they see them, and they're in a comfortable environment. So even though there's this talk in the Bible about, hellfire, or the idea that you're burning, what they're burning with is they're not in some physical, horrible, tortured environment of being overheated all the time. And Swedenborg also talks about things that to angels feel cold about the evil spirits, because they're like an iceberg, you shiver because sometimes you feel that from people in this world now and then, who you feel, there's an icy coldness in that.
You're not feeling that right now, right? No, okay.
I'm not.
Just checking.
The idea of going where you can breathe, and that being a mercy, that the Lord says, I know what you love. I want to get you the best, most comfortable environment that you can be in. That's what hell, hell is not as hellish. Even some of people's contemporaries criticized him for his hell is too nice.
Oh, Swedenborg, yeah.
They're
like, man, come on, like people are having fun there. So this is a really,
his hell is a little harder to use to scare people into doing the right thing. It sounds awful because it's a terrible torment to love something and not be able to do that because it hurts other people, and you can't, and you're punished to the extent that you hurt others.
Yeah. Okay. So I like what you said there. I feel like this is an important distinction point of how I feel like I could say, oh yeah, there's a concept of the existence of something that you can call hell, and yet it's not. It doesn't conflict with the mercy of God. So there's a state that you can be in called heaven, and there's a state that you can be in that's called hell. And these are states of beliefs that you have and states of things that you love and enjoy. That's what the distinction is between the two. And to someone who's in a state of hell, everything it described in that passage, the good of faith, the goodness urged by love, you hate that. You feel miserable. You disdain. You almost die when you come into contact with that. So you go way far away from that, which is to go way far away from God. Now, some people will say, sort of like progressive-y Christian sort of will say, all right, yeah, there's hell and it's miserable, but it's not the misery of God tormenting you. It's the misery of living a life separate from God. Like that's the misery of hell. I would say that in Swedenborg's conception is different. That heaven and hell, yes, in heaven you're much closer to God, and in hell you're much farther from God. However, the life of heaven and hell is made up of stuff you would recognize from human life. That it's not just do you look up and see God there, or can you feel God around you? There are very different activities that you're doing in both, in very different ways that particularly you feel about the other people around you. Yeah. So in heaven, when you wake up in the morning and you go do stuff, you collaborate with people, you think about their welfare, it makes you happy to see them succeed. It makes you happy to do things that improve their life. You enjoy making them smile. You enjoy building things that are helpful to them. You want everybody to have a good day. And that's what you do this in actions. You have camaraderie, and in that you find joy and happiness. And it doesn't cross your mind to like, oh, I'm going to cheat this person, I'm going to cut in line, because there's a horror in that. You hate that because you love all these people. You care about them. You don't want to do that. That's like that. There's no appeal in that at all. That's what heaven is. That's what it's like to be in heaven day to day. Hell, in the state of hell, what you love is revenge. For example, like one thing is you've got a lot of pride. You're very invested in yourself. Yep. When somebody crosses you, you love getting even. And you love outdoing and crushing your rivals. And you love taking things from people. You like seeing people miserable. You like to exploit them. That's what your day is filled with. So those are the things that give you joy. That's the difference between heaven and hell. Those two things are the opposite of each other. You can't both love seeing people happy and love taking the happiness away from people. Both of them have a kind of joy. There's plenty of people who you go and you try to take happiness from people because you like it. There's plenty of people who you try to make people happy. Those two cannot coexist in your day. You can't have both. So that's I think this is important. That's different. So that's the closeness or farness from God, because God is the way that God is the way people are in heaven. And actually that love that you feel as you do that is God flowing into you. So it's not just the presence or absence of an external, like you see God there or you don't, even though you can see God in heaven at times, and everybody in heaven believes, or actually I would say perceives the existence of God, whereas in hell, most people do not believe that there's a creator or anything. Right. But the real distinction is in the activities that you fill your life with, and those two things are incompatible, are as far from each other as they can be. Yeah, and they're just, I don't know, you can think of an analogy with animals or something like that, where you know, if you had just an amazingly predatory killing machine animal, and you had some sweet little plump bird thing, that wouldn't last a minute. You can't house them. You can't put them right in the same space. Some friends of mine were just talking recently about a hen house, and a fox gets in there. It'll kill 32 chickens and like it'll just wipe. You can't even have one fox in there. You have to have a fox-free environment if you want to have those chickens. So there has to be a degree of separation. And nobody's saying, don't be a fox, or don't be a chicken.
it's just there needs to be a separation there.
You want to know what's a really good extrapolation on that, or like a continuation of that? Island ecosystems, isolated island ecosystems.
Yes,
so
yes.
this has been kind of the story of, as human beings have kind of spread out into the world and the biosphere, you have these islands across the ocean that had no predators on them.
Yeah.
That however long ago, millions of years, these islands split off, or they rose out of the sea because of volcanism, and you end up with, there's an environment where some animals made it there, but it's either too small or just no predators. There are no predators on this island. So the birds that live there, for example, you heard about the dodo, which went extinct because it just wouldn't run from people. Birds that have no sense of what to do if they're being chased, because they never get chased.
No sense of danger.
They nest on the ground, because why nest in trees? There's nothing it's like a state of heaven. Everybody trusts everybody. Yeah. Everybody works together. They don't harm each other. And so when humans come ashore and their boats have rats and cats on them and those escape, even though it's just a few, they wipe out the whole island, because those birds have they're defenseless. They didn't put any energy into that, because that's not the world they lived in. So it is the difference between, that's why you can't have both in a person. You can't have, right, if you have these evil affections, they will eat the good ones alive.
Yeah, and so there needs to be, even within us, we may have opposite things. We may have opposite things, and certainly over time, we can be in a condition where we have opposite things in our lower self and in our higher self. So we have aspirations in our higher self, and then we have a whole, slew of bad habits or self-centered attitudes or something in another part of ourselves. But the Lord still makes sure that those are separate, because if they were on the same level, they would destroy each. And
you got the inner self is controlling the outer self. When you're regenerated, sure, you still got those affections in your outer self, but the inner self is controlling. So you can go to some bird sanctuary, yes. let's say you had a wolf or a hunting dog you brought with you. Okay, it's got to be on a leash, though.
That's right.
It's got to stay leashed while you're in here.
Yeah,
that's it, and that's what we're trying to get to.
That's how and that's what heaven is. That environment that evil spirits are not allowed to destroy them, attack. Because they wouldn't stop. I mean, they would want to destroy the whole thing. And so hell has to be over here, but hell within its own environment. One of the reasons that the God came down in the flesh was not to annihilate hell, to deal with it, move it back, set a boundary, but not annihilate it. And that is tremendous mercy and compassion, completely unappreciated, but nonetheless, absolute embodiment of mercy and compassion.
Let's end hearing a little bit about the way that this mercy, this feeling of wanting to reach out to us when we're in distress, operates in our lives. This is from Divine Providence. The reason that everything Divine Providence does is done out of pure mercy is that the divine essence is pure love. This is what is working through divine wisdom, and this working is what we call divine providence. The pure love is pure mercy, because it is at work with everyone in the whole world, and by our nature we are all incapable of doing anything on our own. So we're helpless in that regard. B, it is at work with the evil and the unjust, and with the good and the just alike. C, it is leading people who are in hell and rescuing them from it. D, it is constantly struggling with them in hell and fighting for them against the devil, that is, against the evils of hell. E, that is why it came into the world and underwent temptations, even to the final one, the suffering on the cross. This is, you're talking about Jesus being the ultimate example of that. F, it is constantly at work to make the unclean clean and the insane sane. So it is constantly laboring out of pure mercy. Unclean, clean, insane, sane.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
Working for everybody. Doesn't matter. There's no, here's the good people, here's the bad people. I act a certain way toward the good people. I have the same response to everyone. Is like, I want to help you with what you need help with. That's the divine response to everybody.
Yes. Right.
Different people need help with different things.
Yep.
Depending on their state of life.
Different ways.
Even if you're voluntarily in the deepest state of hell, which means in the state of loving, enjoying, acting on evil things that are deliberately and truly harmful to the human race that you inhabit this existence with. Even if you're way deep in there, divine mercy just means, all right, I see what you need help with. You need to stop. I'm going to try to get you to not do that, because you're going to make yourself more and more miserable, and so we're going to got to protect other people from you. It's the same, different means maybe, but the same intent, which is to improve your life. That it's showing to anyone who's on any stage of, maybe somebody's got a lot of love in their heart and a lot of truth in their mind. Divine Providence is still working on, I'm going to rescue you from what you need to be rescued by.
Tremendous wisdom, knowledge of human nature. I love it.
Yeah.
Knowledge of human nature, great wisdom, and unbelievable patience. Playing along, I don't care if it's been 300,000 years, I still think we can do a little better here, and I'm hopeful of a good future.
That's all we got for today, people. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for watching.